Sometimes in life, you find yourself on the right side of the line.
If you had a mullet, it would be out of business in the front and party in the back.
Sorry about tomorrow.
What's the point of the wife beater?
Live from Texas, this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast. You hear that? It's Brent and Landon, and this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast.
It's not only Brent and Landon. We've got the one and only Casey Seymour the third. Or is it? Are you the third or the fourth?
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Do you have any juniors?
Not that I'm aware of.
That you're aware
After
of.
two, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, they just all get subsidized at that point. But no, we've got Casey Seymour from the Moving Iron Podcast up from the cold, frigid tundra of Nebraska, which, I mean, really, once you get below, 0, does it really matter anymore?
Oh, it matters.
Really?
Do tell,
I'm just
Landon.
calling in. I want to be the 10th caller for the Papa Murphy's party pack.
Sorry, you are caller number 9. Sorry, please call back. Yeah. Did y'all ever do that back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like
we do.
Nebraska, there was only like 15 people that would call in or that had phones.
First off, I'm not from Nebraska. So.
Well, you're there now is all that matters.
That damn Reggie Ray won every week.
Casey always got limited to 1 call per week. He was always calling during
that. Sounds back in the day, like the rotary phone.
Yep.
My mom and dad had the rotary phone.
Oh, hell yeah.
This had been like 1987, 1988, but I still had the rotary phone. And trying to be like the 100th caller, so
yeah.
Like trying to be strategic about it. Like, it's been a little while.
And if there was a 0 in it, I mean, you were screwed. Yeah.
Then you get it back, and then you'd be like, "Oh, your caller 98. God, no way I can make this work again."
You've got like twisted up fingers and busted fingernails and calluses and all this.
Yeah.
Why is your number 1-800-888-7765? Why can't it be 1212?
Why do you have so many 8s, 9s, and 0s in your damn phone number?
Yeah. He's like
27 and I've already got arthritis.
Yeah. That's a long trip back from that 0. I mean, that is a long trip. And you can't stop it because otherwise it F's up the I mean, quite literally F's up the rotation. So yeah, it's a did anybody happen to catch Rome today? Jim Rome? No. Oh, it would have been, y'all would have loved it because it ended up going into video store rental talk. It was like, it talked about it for an hour. It was freaking awesome. About how, people bitch about if Netflix buffers for like 5 minutes. We had to drive into town to go to Silver Screen or Movie Gallery and see if the 49th copy of 50 copies of Mission Impossible 2 were still, if that douchebag brought it back or not, Meanwhile, you're with your girlfriend and she sees Parent Trap over there and somebody hadn't even rented that out in 15 years. So it's a Parent Trap kind of night.
We'd rent like Super Nintendo games, and you hope your password's still, or you hope your loaded game's still in there from like 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Or sometimes people would write in password. Man, it was great. Cheat codes.
Nice. We never did have the game console. Closest thing I got was the Game Boy, and I wore that thing out, man. It was pretty legit. But no, and they even talked about, I guess even this is a little before our time, or my time anyway, that you would rent a VCR, and it was like a suitcase. It was like
How old are you guys?
40. How old are you?
43.
Okay. Well, that's not, anyway, they said it was like what was it like, Casey? Like the nuclear football suitcase or something? You had to handcuff it to your arm?
So when I was a kid, I was probably 8 or 9. We'd go down to the video store, and you get your video you wanted, and then they would give you a 50-pound bag that had a VCR in it. And it wasn't the old school kind where you slid it in, but it popped up out of the top, and you could pull it up. That's what it was. That thing weighed about 97 pounds. It took you about 4.5 years to hook it up. So by the time you got to actually watch the movie, you had to take it back. So it was a good time.
That's when the 10 Commandments were released, or what?
Yeah, that was. I remember watching.
When did you get to see The Wizard of Oz in color for the first time, Casey?
Did you ever play the Odyssey?
Oh man.
The video game Odyssey, or like the movie?
Yeah, the video game.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember.
Well, it was like a system. It was like a system.
An Odyssey game console.
Yeah.
But all it was a light on the screen. But what you would do is it came with things that you would fit over your television screen, and that would be games.
One of my friends had one of those. I remember that. Was it Atari? Is that who made that?
No, I don't think it was Atari, but I think it was just Odyssey. But it was it was just like two lights on the screen that you could move with controllers, but you would put different things on your TV. Like one would be like a house, and you could play like hide and seek or whatever. One would be like a maze where you try to keep the light inside the maze. It's pretty primal stuff.
Primal, you don't get to hear that word very often. But I like it. It's pretty nice. No, I don't. We just had the 4 channels, and 2 of the channels didn't have a very good reception. So and then we got the 8-foot satellite dish, and then my life became meaningful. So
so I just Googled it, Magnavox, as you made that, and it was the first commercial home video games console.
So did y'all have the TV console, the console TVs with the wood on both sides?
Yeah, we had we had that, and then I remember when I was a kid, I was like maybe 10 or 12.
Sorry, Casey, I'm just waiting for Landon to pick his nose with that thing, whatever he's got.
I'm the maestro.
I didn't know if that was a baton or a chopstick or what that was. Anyway, Casey, I'm sorry. So yeah.
When I was 10 or 12, they came out with had.
Here, put your fingers in between these. Sorry, Casey.
Coaxial cable, like digital cable, like it was analog, but it was came through a cable box, right?
Now, did you live in town?
Yeah, I lived in town.
Okay.
And the remote that they gave us, you had to be within 10 feet of the TV to make it work.
Right.
And of course, every couch that was in the house was like 12 feet away. It didn't work. So my little brother, I always had to go like that. Hey, go turn the channel real quick.
Because
my brother had to stay up there and flip through the.
Because everybody where Casey lived have 10,000 square foot houses, and they just couldn't have their couch 10 feet away from that TV.
It was right on the cusp. Like the room we had was like our living room was like, I don't know what it was, 10 by 12 or whatever.
Right.
It was 10 foot long, 12 foot wide, and it was just far enough away that you couldn't get it to work, and my brother would have to go up there and turn the channel.
Now, we had a Zenith, and that son of a bitch lasted from the first moon landing to the Mars Perseverance rover they just landed today.
Last week.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, this thing was legit. It probably weighed 4,000 pounds, and it was only like probably a 30-inch screen or something, but it had the wood. It had like the wood, not panel. I think it was real wood on either side, and then the wood top. And you'd always get in trouble if you didn't put a coaster on the top of the television when you put your milk on it or something.
Dude, it was the 80s, man. If you were gonna be watching Dallas, you better be watching it in style.
Yeah, if you're gonna see who killed shot JR, you better by God have that wood grain panel TV, because
I remember my parents watching like some movies on Monday nights, and we're in the kitchen, and I don't know if y'all's parents had one, but our parents had that little like 2-inch by 2-inch screen TV in the kitchen. Yeah. We'd be watching Monday Night Football on that in the kitchen.
Black and white, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, my mom.
I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what I did. I don't remember what the thing was, but there was something at school, and if you won, like first, second, third, if you won something, there were 3 different prizes. Like first prize was a bike, and the second one was something, but the third prize was like an old school, like portable TV. You know what I'm talking about? They were about
Had a handle on it.
Had a handle on it. You grab it and you could pick VHF or whatever they were. And
they were like this long, and the screen was this big.
What I remember about it was you could plug it into a cigarette lighter. So when we'd be driving around, I'd plug that stupid thing in, and I would sit there and watch that TV. We were driving down the road, and it was black and white.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of those conversion vans at the time had them built in, like that little TV.
Did y'all have an Uncle Rico van?
Yeah, we had my dad bought a, I don't remember what year it was, Chevy van of some kind, and it was a delivery van of some sort. Nothing on the inside, about 2 seats. That was it.
But it picked it up pretty good.
yeah. But he went and made it a conversion van. Went over the grand van.
Did it have curtains?
It did have curtains.
Oh, so awesome.
And those and they had the couch in the back that folded out to the bed.
Did it have free candy?
Yeah.
It wasn't white, but it did have windows, so there's no shenanigans that you get away with.
Man, if I would have known that I could have plugged the TV into the cigarette lighter and watched PBS on the 8-hour trip to see my grandparents when I was a kid, that would have changed my life.
Yeah. The thing about that TV though was I got that TV about the same time that Weird Al movie came out, that UHF or whatever it was, or what was the name of that show he had?
Oh, Monty Python. Oh, would you say? Oh, Weird Al Yankovic. Oh,
yeah.
No, I don't remember.
It was like UHF or something like that.
Huh.
But I was like, they had that you could switch it over to that signal. I'm like,
yeah. Like ultra,
nothing ever was on that. Nothing came on that stupid. That kid never gave anything in there. But
yeah, they thought it acted like you were talking to the Apollo unit up at the moon, just to go from VH or UHF to your ullage and see if you can get a better signal.
In the back seat of a van, trying to pick up some scrambled porn.
Down by the river.
Yeah, that was. As a kid, I'm like, all these kids would get. I got third place. So there was no. You didn't have to. You could pick whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Out of these 3 prizes, and then third place got what was ever left. And I'm like, yes, really? I'm like, man, I want that TV so bad. All these stupid kids picked the bike and they picked whatever else. I'm like, don't you already have a bike? For Christ's sake, 1988. You should have a bike.
Yeah. So your parent? Are you a stepchild? What's your deal? Yeah.
Why don't you have a bike?
Oh man, who doesn't?
Put 100,000 miles a year on my bike.
Are you an orphan, dude? Why don't you have a bike?
That's sad. You don't have a bike.
Oh man, nowadays, like, you don't have a hoverboard. What, do your parents hate you? Oh man, yeah. And then they talked about the. I guess there's a. They didn't have it in Hereford. At least I don't remember. I guess they had the curtained off area for the porno.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my little video store in my little town had the secret door that you went through.
Your dad what?
my dad would go back there once in a while, and it had to be.
Man.
But it was he knew the guy that owned the place real well, and he'd be, hey, you got to come check this out. So it disappeared. My dad come out just rolling, laughing. I'm like, there must be something cool back there. Dad said, don't worry about it. Someday you'll get it figured out.
Oh man, that's that was back in the day when Big White Butts 1 came out. Now they've probably got like Big White Butts 47. Coming out. I always joke with my wife. I was like, when I was a kid growing up, the Underground Railroad for porn that you had to get the magazine, you know what I mean, there was like 17 different people that you had to go through to get it, and then there was always kind of the guy that was entirely too old to be hanging out with the kids that were like, he was like 7 years older than the kids he was hanging out with. It's like the 20-year-old guy hanging out with the 13-year-old. 13, yeah.
And I'm like, so you had this whole like system that you went through to get the nudie magazine, and the guy knew a guy that had a friend that had a dad that had a stack of nudie magazines that were 4.5 foot tall, and he wasn't going to miss the one out of the middle, type of thing.
Least sticky.
You had to get the one that didn't, the pages weren't all stuck together.
Yeah.
It wasn't the obvious one, right? So
yeah.
Then if you got the new porno magazine, it had like 8 layers of plastic you had to cut through to get to it. Or like try to like open it up a CD case.
I don't know what it is. I mean, you guys grew up out in the country, so I mean, it was. I grew up in town, so I mean, all my friends were in the same block and everything else. But the little town I lived in, you didn't have to go that far to be outside of town. So we go out. What we thought were the woods, obviously, was somebody's property, and we built this like very elaborate. For us, very elaborate cabin like fort thing, and it was just
pants off.
It was lined with
pants
like,
optional.
Nudie,
the pants optional treehouse.
All this stuff. And it was yeah.
Did y'all have the sign that said "No girls allowed," where girls was spelled GIRLZ?
No, I didn't have that, but.
Oh,
I had one buddy that would bring nudie magazines, another buddy would bring cigars, and then another buddy would bring his dad's
their sister. Oh,
and it was, of course, we were the cool kids, so we'd be like eight of us smoking a cigar and trying to drink a thimble-sized amount of whiskey, and thinking that we were something special.
You were young guns, man. You were freaking Emilio Estevez. Y'all were in peyote country.
Great. Can you imagine what this is going to be like when we get older?
Oh, man. We're going to be so freaking cool.
All staring at the centerfold from November 1973.
and there again, there was a guy there that was clearly entirely too old to be with
13-year-old boys, yeah.
We were like,
had to own the house.
We were like 9, 10, 11-year-old kids, and there was like a 15-year-old kid hanging around.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing here?
Somebody had to drive.
It was funny because he was like, yeah, dude, when that guy turns 18, I'm going to kick his ass. He was already 18, I'm like,
yeah.
That's what? That doesn't even sound. That's like 4 years from now. You hold a grudge that long?
Yeah. You seriously think you're going to hate that guy until 1985?
Yeah, so it was everybody. I think everybody had that guy in their town that was entirely too old to be hanging out with. High school, we had a high school party or two, and there was this one guy that would show up, and he was like 26 years old, and we were 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, and he's 26, and he's like dating some girl that clearly had daddy issues, right? And
all right.
Yeah. Oh no. I was fixing to say Matthew McConaughey, but this is like the dude in Varsity Blues with the letter jacket at the party at the first part of the movie.
That's exactly who he is.
You still come to these parties? I don't miss one of them. This is going to be America's Funniest Shots in the Nuts. Anyway.
That's exactly how this guy was. And he would show up there and he would try to be the coolest guy in the room. And be like, dude, you want to make a beer run? You guys want to come make a beer run? I'm like, man, I just feel
we're 15.
I feel pretty confident if I'm riding around with you and we show up to a liquor store that I'm going to go to jail automatically because you're going to give it away immediately. But yeah, it was
Did he call you Junior a bunch?
No, he's like, hey, when I was your guys' age, dude, it's just great. Parties all the time. I'm like, pretty sure you never went to one of them.
Yeah. If he did, he was not invited.
Yeah, he was the guy that showed up. The only reason he liked him to come because he was the guy that showed up with beers.
Yeah,
and some stuff. The cooler. Yeah, come on, man. I got bottles. Of beer.
Yeah. Man, what's a
dude in Superbad? You guys have a MySpace?
Yeah. What the thing about that is when old what's his name gets the beer and he pours it in those Tide detergent jugs. And then he just hauls them to the party, and they supposedly don't taste like detergent at all.
Supposedly nobody died.
Yeah. It's like, hey, blood brother.
Who wants to drink my green beer?
Oh, God. That is so awesome. Yeah. Oh, that was one of my favorite movies, is Superbad. He's like, hey, blood brother. Oh, yeah. He had to, ironically enough, he had to use that detergent later to get that blood stain out of his leg. So, it's kind of gross. But,
period it on my leg.
That was the first movie that ever portrayed soccer players to be badasses.
Yeah. And he was like was he a Latin guy? Yeah.
No, I don't remember what he was.
Yeah, I think he was.
They were like fighters. Like, I don't know.
No. I mean, kick is about all they could do, and they could like run for like extended periods of time. But as far as kicking ass, I don't know.
If somebody punched and they just flop.
Yeah,
and fall, like
yeah.
they got shot and stabbed at
Like
the same time.
like LeBron taking a charge. He's gonna flop like crazy, man.
Sniper on the roof. Sniper on the roof.
Oh, jeez. It's a great time. Well, so guys, this is the Dryline Farmer podcast, and normally this is actually kind of usually how it goes. We think we have some kind of subject we're going to talk about, and then we end up talking about how we have issues from our childhood pasts that we're just now getting to our third session of therapy. And but Casey, he is the owner, the manager, the creator of the Moving Iron
Dryline Farmer podcast.
Yeah, he might be by the time this thing's over with. And of course, we've got Landon Nolan here. He's the great and wonderful co-host of this here podcast as well. But well, I guess we can take a break here because we're going to get into a little weather talk. I guess I'm going to have Radar Ricardo come on because I know he had some issues because, like I said, he's from south of the border and he's just not used. Well, actually, no, he is a citizen, but nonetheless, he's not used to this kind of cold weather. So we're going to get him on here to give us an update, and then we're going to talk Winter Storm Uri. I don't know, one of those two. All that and more on the Dryline Farmer podcast.
Hey, cabron, don't bring the propane bottle inside of the house, man, vato. No, I say, pinche blow us up. Remember what happened to Lupita? Hey, this is Radar Ricardo, Data Serio, bringing your Dryline Farmer podcast with an update. Well, Brent, is there any words we can say to say what's going on here? Needless to say, me and Diego, or Diego and myself, or is it, hey, vato, Diego and I, and we're not used to this kind of pinche weather, vato. It's all like cold and like colder, and then it gets like the wind blows, and like when it gets like 5 below, like even if it blows like 5 miles an hour, it's already like down to like 15 below or whatever on the windshield, and like the windshield like cuts to your bones, and that's what I'm saying. And like we're from, we got roots down, like deep roots in Michoacan or whatnot, and it's like Diego's from Coahuila, and I mean they don't ever get cold there. They got pinche pineapples or whatever, and they don't have all these freaking like freeze warnings, and we got pinche pipes in the ceiling. Well, vato, not only in Mexico but down in Texas, like south of like Lubbock or whatever, they don't like know how to deal with it, and it's like all freezing. It's a pretty big nightmare, vato. Huh? Oh, she's down is she just trying to get out of DFW? Vato, hey, did she lose any weight? Oh, sorry. Anyway, there's really not a whole lot to say other than all those pinche a-holes that were like all talking shit or whatever, like from the Midwest saying, y'all know what it's like to be cold now. Vato's like, hey, I got the shocks on you because it's gonna be like 68 on Tuesday, and then I'm at a 69 your sister, hey, sit on that, put on any pipe and smoke it, vato. Hey, we don't really have any sponsors this week because Brent's too cheap and lazy to go after corporate sponsorships or whatever. We'll leave that to the Moving Our Podcast or whatever. Like Casey Seymour, he's up in Nebraska and he kind of knows all about the cold weather or whatever. But hey, me and Diego, we're gonna go try to light another fire in the fireplace and maybe do some pizza s'mores or whatever. Hey, vato, you got the coat hangers. Hey, this is Radar Ricardo and Data City. Oh, back to you.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. I know that was a kind of a hard weather system for you to live through, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that here with Casey and Landon. Now, Casey, it was we have a pre-show. I don't call it a pre-show, but I do call it a pre-show while we're recording. That way, it makes it sound like it's all official and stuff. But Casey, you said you almost set a record up there for cold temperatures up there in Nebraska?
I don't know if we set a record or not, but it was. If we didn't set one, it was. I think we had to be pretty close.
Yeah.
It was negative 22 here, and then if you went north where the elevation is a little bit higher, they were like negative 24, negative 25. So it got pretty cold.
And there probably wasn't any wind at all, I imagine.
Well, we did have one day where the wind was just kind of a breeze. I wouldn't even call it a wind, and it was so cold that little breeze made it negative. Like we had like negative 45 degree wind chills. I mean, it was,
wow. Yeah,
it was pretty. It was a nice day.
That'll take the bluffiness out of the Scott's bluff.
Yeah, I went and moved snow at my church. Where they have a 4-wheeler that's got a blade on. You can kind of move stuff around, and I did that for about a couple hours, and then I couldn't feel my legs anymore. So I decided I better call it, and I went inside. But it was cold. It was really, really cold.
Casey was out in the parking lot, and after 2 hours at the church parking lot, he said, "Yes." That's what he said. But yeah, no, we didn't get quite that cold, but we got Landon. What did we get to? 10 below?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
That's Texas. You guys got to think about that. You know, that's put that in the scale of like, you know, cold, Texas cold. That's one step above Antarctica at that point.
Yeah, because it was blowing Landon? What did we get to on wind chill? Did you ever hear 25, 30 below?
Maybe. I mean, yeah. The wind just wasn't just too horrible. And
no, it really wasn't terrible.
I did see something the other day about someone on Facebook posted a map of world temperatures, and the Midwest was the coldest spot on the planet.
Yeah. Oh, on the planet. Yeah. They kept saying They kept saying we were colder than Alaska. I'm like, I bet we're not colder than Nome. That's like on the north side of Alaska. I'm betting it was colder there. Maybe it wasn't, but we almost had a drop down, throw down argument before we started this podcast on what electrical grid system we were in. So, Landon, I don't want us to open that can of worms again.
I didn't even say which one we were on. I just said what the map said.
Y'all had to be there. It was pretty good. But no, Landon.
All I heard Landon say was, "Bring kiss my country ass."
Yeah.
We're on this right here. I got the only map that shows that we're in there, but I got this.
Now, Landon, I'd have to say this is probably the driest snow we've ever had. We had what?
By far. It was very dry.
Yeah. It was like 6-7 inches, and we got like a tenth of moisture out of it. I mean, it was dust pretty much.
It was like Margaret making a full day.
Yeah, when you can just blow, you don't have to scoop, you don't have to shovel the sidewalk. You just bring your air compressor.
Yep.
Get your leaf blower out there and clear it off.
That's exactly what we had here. We had 4 days of snow. You guys had the same deal where kind of every day kind of snowed just a little bit type of thing?
Yeah.
We had 4 days in a row where we got anywhere between 1.5 inches and 2 inches, and then Friday night going to Saturday, I think we got 4 inches of snow. So we ended up with about a foot of moisture. Well, a foot of snow that's going to equal about a thimbleful of water when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
There was no less than half a dozen. That's what she said in that last sentence.
Yeah, I know. Fortunately, Casey was the one doing the setup, so he didn't have a chance to do his own. That's what she said.
It was like 1.5 to 2 inches every night.
That's more than just the tip, Casey. I know. I don't know you, but I know you. Once you're past 1.5 inches, the tip is already over with. So
it wasn't that cold.
Oh yeah, no. So we're kind of course, obviously up there. Y'all are prepared. Your infrastructure is built for that kind of stuff. But obviously, anything south of, I would say, Lubbock, Landon, maybe Abilene is not prepared for this kind of weather.
Yeah, probably Abilene, probably not.
You would say El Paso is ready, set up for this kind of weather pattern?
Probably not. I don't know how. I don't know. They might have been to the west of this thing.
Maybe.
I'm kind of thinking. So,
well, I had I-10 closed from Houston to El Paso because there was billion-car pileups, and they were showing pictures of El Paso that were like snowy, like it was snowing down there.
Well, it was snowing in Galveston. Yeah. So it was pretty wild stuff. So I wonder if the water in Mexico freezes because you can't drink it. I'm sure the freezing temperature's got to be lower than 32 degrees in the Mexican water.
Yeah, I wonder how far south did it go? You anybody know how far?
Well, I mean, you went into Mexico. I don't know. I mean, I just know it made to the Texas coast. So, you start getting. That's probably where I saw on Twitter 2 weeks ago somebody was planting corn down there. Oh, I forget what the guy. Huh?
Yeah, that's about right. This time of year, about February, they plant corn down there, sweet corn.
Yeah. No, this is like in the Black Hill or the Black. I forgot what the guy's name is. He's always talking about black dirt not Central Texas. He's got to be like down close to Houston or something. But anyway, whatever the case, I'm sure his corn is looking a little purple right now. So I bet it might be a massive replant. But no, some of my, I don't want to say favorite pictures, but the pictures that have come across Twitter the last few days of, central hill country Texas pictures of houses that lost their power. And they couldn't obviously keep the pipes warm in the house, or at least even above freezing. I know it got to 0 in Dallas, and I've got relatives that live down in that area, in DFW area, and they were I don't think they had too much trouble, but there were people with ceiling fans, and I guess it had to be obviously a 2-story house, and water and icicles were coming off of the ceiling fan blades. Yeah, and but
didn't Houston get down to something ridiculous like 6 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, I think they got in the single digits. It was pretty.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy, but and then. And Landon might be more apt at this answer, but he was the one that taught me about the upper decker. But I saw several toilet pictures of these toilets overflowing and then freezing. And it's just, I mean, how much closer to a third world country can you get if you can't,
Yeah, because you still got to go.
Well, you don't have any running water, and you don't have electricity.
There's got to be an urban
That's
dictionary.
a third world country.
There's got to be an urban dictionary term for something like that to happen.
Did you see over in Saudi Arabia that
it snowed,
full on blizzard over there?
It snowed on that. I read about that and I said, yeah, that happens. That's not just overly rare. But
most new houses built in South Texas now are going to have a fireplace put in them.
Yeah, or maybe just their own generator, because all they had to have was electricity. Maybe their pipes would have busted, underground, because I'm sure they're not buried terribly deep down there. But at least have your own. I mean, obviously you got to be able to afford one, but have your own generator, and at least see, Landon, when did we have? We had that blizzard that was, oh gosh, it's been 5-6 years ago, and we lost power, and we bought a generator just a couple days before just for that. And sure enough, we lost power, and I mean, it was enough to run our furnace and kept our house, kept it going until they got it back on. But it's it's a pretty sad state of affairs. I got a buddy that just got back from the San Angelo Hog Show, and they went down there Tuesday, came back today, and they took a shower when they left home on Tuesday, and they got a shower when they got back here home today. And he had a video. This is I'm going to tag him at Burns Seed Inc.
I know that, friend. That's kind of normal for him, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not too out of place for him. He's usually taking a leak on fire hydrants and, upper deck in his own house. So, but he had a video of getting water out of the faucet in his hotel room bathroom.
What color was that water, Brent?
And it wasn't clear. It had a color. That's the problem. It had a color. And he would fill the water bottle up at the sink and move over to the toilet and pour it in the tank so they could, do Uno and Deuce. So it was that's not a very fun stock show experience, but I'm sure they couldn't. I'm sure they were kind of hoping they didn't make the sale because they'd have to wait around a little longer for that. But no restaurants, and like I said, we went down to San Angelo last week for the Heifer Show, and we were there. We weren't even hardly there 24 hours by the time we unloaded and loaded back up. And fortunately, our hotel had filtration system, and this was before electricity started going out. So anyway, it's pretty scary stuff.
Spend big, and go to the Motel 6.
Yeah, we we had a big year. We made some corn this year, so we went to the. Have y'all ever stayed at a Motel 6?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that
bring a sleeping bag and your own pillow? Yeah, that's good.
So we had some friends that went down there, or actually it's one of our vets, and they show lambs, and they were in a motel. They were in a motel where it was like $40 rooms, and you can just imagine how fine of a hotel or a motel that would be. It was probably like the Quality Inn in Hereford or something. So
probably leave your shoes on pretty much the whole time.
Probably I would sleep in the pickup is probably what I do. Risk the carbon monoxide and go with it. So
it's either blood, semen, or
urine. God,
hope it's urine.
Oh, God. And you know what? I bet that's absolutely the truth. Every hotel room you go into with a black light, why? You don't do that. You just don't know. You don't want to know.
There's things you don't want to know.
No, ignorance is absolutely bliss when it comes to hotel rooms. So especially in Vegas. Sure. I can't imagine in Vegas, man. And of course now, I guess mainly because of COVID, the housekeeping doesn't do your room. You're staying with us for 3 nights, so you won't have housekeeping unless it's requested. So, you use your own same towels and everything, which I guess whatever. But there's no telling how many plagues our body fights off every day we don't even know about.
No telling how many people's stories end with, and that's the second time I got
Yeah. I know the whole toilet seat thing is a myth. So,
yeah. after I specifically asked you not to.
I swear to God, I got this from a towel.
Yeah. Oh man, you just don't think about it and move on and go to sleep. Is just all you can do when it comes to. We're gonna have a hotel room episode because
have that extra beer to make sure that you sleep.
Yeah, or piss in the bed, one of the two. So, Casey, have y'all been out of power at very long amounts of time up there in Nebraska since you've been up there?
No, we have. I've not. There was no this last roundabout. There was some blackouts here and there, but it wasn't anything major.
Yeah, like I said, we were out. Like the longest we were ever out, I think maybe it was 2 days. That was back when I was in high school, I think. But Landon, what would you miss the most about power?
About power? Well, how long is it going to be out?
You're out a week. What are you going to be missing?
Oh,
because I'm thinking like we live out in the country, so we have our own well.
Well, I've got a fireplace, so I could probably stay somewhat warm. I guess light.
Yeah, light. That's what you're gonna go with. It's light like half the day.
I can really walk around my house without falling over every light in the house on.
Yeah, I think I've cut our. Well, I hadn't cut our line. I've had to cut the water off of our house a few times to work on a sprinkler system out in the yard, and then it's just being without electricity is one thing, but that water, man. You're without water. It's just you can't do nothing. You can't do anything. I've got a kid. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted. I got a kid upstairs howling. I don't know what the hell he's howling at, but he must be in the shower because that's usually that's his howling spot. So
I got one of those kids too.
So we were at the when we were at the San Angelo steer show, Abilene. This guy, he came up and clipped on our calves back in January, and he finished. Kind of did some fine tuning while we were at the show, and he came out of the bathroom, and it's one of these 10-15 urinals and same amount of stalls or whatever, and Mason was in there, and I guess he was doing his number two, and I guess he was just singing like a mother effer, man. That guy comes out, I was like, man, I wish I could be as happy as that little boy is in that bathroom right now, because he just sitting in that stall just singing, man. I just got not a damn worry in the world.
Brent, if you had to sing a song while you were doing that, what would it be?
Oh, I want to say 99 bottles of beer, but that's just off the top of my head, maybe. What would you sing?
I don't know, probably the Macarena. I'm not sure.
Does that help like work it out or what? Is that just?
I would assume so. Maybe the YMCA.
Yeah. Who does number 2 work for? Yeah, it's anyway. So some people have their happy places in just different spots, and that's really all you can say about that. But Casey, what would you miss the most? The water, or there's some other little convenience that you secretly love that you can't live without?
Well, the weird thing, I'm just not thinking about this a little bit here, but the weirdest thing about my house is I don't have everything I have is internet based. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I stream like YouTube TV, and I got the Netflix and all that stuff. So I have, if the power went out, like I would completely lose contact with the outside world. I mean, like your phone would be like the closest thing I would have to a radio. I take that back. I've got a couple of those like hand crank. Like
I was gonna say, do you have it? Yeah.
I got a couple of those, I guess, but. Probably the one thing I'd miss the most out of everything would just be, are you talking like total, like no running water, no nothing?
Well, now, would you lose your water if you lost electricity? Are you on a well?
No, I'm not on a well.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying like if the generator's filled and all those kind of things on the pump. So
you can't say water.
I would say the one thing I would miss the most after a while would be. I would probably get a little tired of not having TV. I mean, I got a million books to read, but
who has time for that?
For so long,
Casey would be out in his pickup with his old cigarette lighter.
Yeah,
I would.
He would have his Vietnam era backpack. Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need an airstrike.
I've actually thought about getting one of those ham radios.
Yeah.
And like. I just don't want to go take the stupid test so you can get the, KRC, whatever that is, KRRP or whatever that is in Cincinnati or whatever that is, and get my call letters. But I thought about doing that.
There's a guy.
If you could do something like that, you could like talk to people and stuff.
Yeah, the rest of the Mennonites and Amish people that graduated to the ham radios. Yeah.
Who is this weirdo?
Yeah. He's talking about what? Yeah. This dude's like...
He said he lost the internet?
What is an internet? Yeah.
What's it within?
He must be a fisherman.
They probably...
Within a net? I don't get it.
They probably only get to use their ham radios if they go on their Rumspringa.
Yeah.
Casey, is there any Amish communities up in Nebraska?
Not where I'm at. When I grew up in Kansas, there was.
Yeah.
And they, it's a weird thing. So you can't have a car and drive it around, but you can hook you can drive your tractor around, right? So you don't have a...
They have tractors?
Oh, yeah. They got tractors. You can only farm with them.
You can't go on a date with them or go on a date.
But see, there's always like this workaround. It seems like
their
little thing. There's like you can't farm. You can farm with them. You can only farm with them unless you need to go check a field or go to town to get some lumber or something like that. Like there's always like this whole thing. So you'd go to like Home Depot and there'd be like 50, 100 horsepower tractors with horse trailers on the back of them,
And if the videos
lumber or whatever,
And if the video store with the roped off porn section just happens to be on the way, you can stop by and go in there.
Yeah, stop by and get some there. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. If you see a tractor at the liquor store, he's got to put a little bit of that in his fuel tank.
Yeah. He's got to equal out that E85 with some Tennessee whiskey. Yeah.
A little bit of that farm use.
So that's like one year for Lent I gave up French fries, but tater tots were okay. So that was my workaround. But I did not have a French fry all during Lent. For 40 days I didn't have a French fry, but I did have lots of tater tots. Oh,
is that a big deal? Is that hard? You're like, hell yeah, it's hard.
Hell yeah, I love French fries. Give me some more of them supersized tater tots. Yeah, I kind of got ridiculed for that. I don't know. And it's like, dude, you're not Catholic. I'm like, it's not a Catholic thing. It's, at least I don't think it is. So I didn't.
That's kind of a Christian thing.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't even know when that got started, but whatever the case.
Sounds like with you, it's kind of a fat thing.
Hey, whatever floats your boat during the 40 days. It's a dream come true when I get a tater tot. So yeah, but no, it's it's not really a joking matter. People down there are really having a rough time, but hopefully they'll get kind of thawed out and everything.
The funniest thing I heard out of this whole deal was someone was I don't remember if it was CNN or MSNBC or where it was, but the answer to this whole problem was, if we had more windmills in Texas, this wouldn't be an issue right now. I'm like, that seems like they're not the ones they have now don't work. So I don't understand how if you had more, somehow that would offset the ones that don't work. So
that's like saying we want more of nothing, because they were all iced over, and that's why they weren't running. And then yesterday was like the first day. I don't even know. And let's say 2 of the 3 blades got de-iced. I'm pretty sure they have to be balanced to run.
Yeah.
Those things will throw a freaking blade a quarter mile, like over those mountains over there. You
multiply a lot of numbers times 0, but the answer is always the same.
Yeah, no matter what. That's the first thing I learned. I loved about multiplication. I could kick ass on any of the questions that was multiplied by 0. Man, I knew that son of a bitch right off the top. If it's multiplied by 0, it's 0.
Didn't even have to
zeros.
Yeah.
Zeros, 1s, 5s, and 10s.
I was unstoppable on those sons of bitches. Yeah. But I was reading a deal that the windmills or the wind turbines account for 20% of Texas energy, which I still kind of find that hard to believe. But obviously they were all shut down. So as far as like the natural gas is our big one. And apparently what happened, this is one story, is that it was so cold they couldn't get the condensate out fast enough.
Yeah, it was freezing.
Before it would freeze.
The wellhead was freezing off. So Danny Crenshaw, he's got a podcast that I listen to, and he had this very same podcast on the day he was talking about it. And he said the reason why he had an expert on, of course, he's a right-wing extremist, obviously.
Obviously.
But, he has he's saying that the reason why the wind turbine thing was such a big problem was that's the first energy that gets used before anything else does.
Oh,
so the entire grid's set up to accept that first, and then everything else second, third, and fourth, and so on down the line. And by the time it got down to everything else, it was just so far behind that it couldn't catch up, and then the grid was just overran, and it just so the coal and the nuclear and the natural gas and stuff worked like it was supposed to. It just took so long to get everything back online, and by the time they got everything back online, the grid was just
overloaded. Yeah,
overloaded.
Yeah,
to bring it back up anyway to that I mean, you think 25%? I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah,
especially when you start talking about the number of people in Texas that are drawn off that grid.
Yeah, like so. I don't know if I was saying it earlier or not. Like during the summer, at least I know this past one of my brothers is on the local board of directors here at the electrical co-op, and so he's got a lot of good info. But like they just built a big power station southeast of here, over at Abernathy, and it's got 2 turbine engines, and then it's got like maybe 8 conventionally combustible engine deals. You know what I mean? Anyway, like that whole thing was shut down because they couldn't get any fuel to it. Like those turbines, like each turbine does like, hell, I don't know, 10 megawatts, or and they don't even use them during the summer. Like they all go down to Dallas, Fort Worth, and all down in there. Like we can't even use it all. And that whole, I don't know if it's 100 megawatt deal or what, but it was completely shut down because there was no fuel to get to it. So yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, so this whole green energy thing, I get it. It all has a spot, and if you can generate some free electricity out of some solar panels and some wind, then great, go ahead and do it. But that stuff doesn't work when it's cold like this and it's really, really hot. It just can't keep up. Just can't make enough. And
it's not reliable enough. Yeah,
it's not reliable.
No,
I think something like a wind turbine has to have something like a 22 mile an hour wind or something like that to even generate peak electricity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's got to, it can't be too high either.
Yeah. There's a range where if it gets above like 40 miles an hour or something like that, it's not producing any more electricity at 42 miles an hour than it is at 38 miles an hour. So it's just
right.
But it has to be a certain speed. Like they just turn sometimes and they don't even do anything.
Right. So. And they're 300 feet up in the air, and it's always windier up there, of course. So, yeah, it's
they're kind of cool to look at, though. We'll say that.
Yeah, my brother-in-law and father-in-law, they have some wind turbines on their stuff that got built, and they're kind of liking it because it's a nice little check. But yeah, it's certainly not just going to be reliable enough because you're never going to be able to fight Mother Nature all the time and get away with it. Hell, just even look what happened with the most reliable sources of energy, and they still froze up. So this was probably a 1 every 100-year storm system, or whatever you want to call it, maybe 200. But whatever the case, I was at Joe Bastardi. He had a map. I guess he had a map of like 1983 and then like 1889 or 1899, and then
probably wrong. Just kidding.
Yeah, and then the map of this current situation, they were like identical, like a map of the entire country and how this whole system just plunged right down through the middle of the country.
Grand solar minimums, bro. You gotta go check that out. Go look that up.
Check out what?
Exactly what we're looking into. Grand solar minimums.
Oh yeah.
About the sun.
Right.
Puts off energy and those kind of things. I did a whole podcast on it, so you should go check it out.
Yeah, I know. It got tweeted and retweeted like 15,000 times that week, didn't it?
That was a good one.
Yeah, you probably got some good numbers on that one.
Yeah, we got a few numbers on that one, but there's a lot of good information there. So go check that out because this kind of stuff, if everything is going like it's supposed to, this 1 week that we had right here, these 2 weeks or whatever you want to call it, that we've had this weather pattern in, that could be the majority of winter next year. It's good. This is going to be, this stuff is coming. So we need to figure this stuff out and be on the forefront. Otherwise, we're going to be like the road where everyone dies of cold and eat each other.
Landon, we better settle in. This sounds like a 5-minute ad for the Moving Iron podcast.
I read the book and the movie. I don't want to do that.
The Road?
The Road.
I haven't read
You
or seen.
you should go watch it, dude. It'll freak you out.
Who now is this an old movie or?
It came out like 2012 or so.
I saw 2012
Yeah,
the movie.
Like that.
Yeah, I think the book was about 08 or so. It's the guy that did No Country for Old Men.
Viggo Mortensen. He's the guy.
Now does the okay?
Yeah.
The guy that wrote the book. The guy that wrote the book wrote No Country for Old Men.
So now,
Competition in me.
before I go out and rent this movie or buy this book, does it have an ending? Because No Country for Old Men didn't have an ending.
Yeah,
this one has.
He beat that preacher up, man. Run your mouth, see what happens. That's what the moral of that story was.
Yeah, in this book, the road doesn't go on forever, and the party does end.
Yeah.
It's
The party
poetic.
never starts, but no, it's a good book. It's just pretty dark.
Pretty dark. I like dark books, especially when there's no power.
The thing I hate about that show, though, I hate those shows, those post-apocalyptic shows, where they don't set the table and tell you what happened to cause it.
Oh yeah.
I hate that. It drives me nuts.
You see some flashbacks, and then you see like the whole future. All they can eat is fish, and you're like, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a road. The Road, 2009.
Sounds right.
Let's see. Viggo Mortensen and his young son, Cody Smith McPhee, wander through this post-apocalyptic world trying to keep the dream of this civilization alive. They journey toward the sea, surviving as best they can on what they can scavenge.
Pretty much at the end of after the apocalypse, there's two people, and they're both homeless, and they're pushing a shopping cart down the road.
Yeah.
So I don't have to see it now.
Spoiler alert.
Thanks a lot,
No.
ass.
Spoiler alert.
Here's an audience review from Lantoast44. Let's see.
Yeah.
No, okay, yeah. So I guess it was not a very popular one because the box office was $27.6 million. I'm betting it cost more than that to make because Charlie's
Did you see the Book of Eli? Have you seen that one?
Seems like it. Doesn't that have Matt Damon?
No, it's got Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking
Bible
something.
across the way. If you've seen that, you've seen The Road. It's the same difference.
Oh, okay. The Book of Eli, yeah. Oh,
Kind of the same difference. Well, maybe not exactly.
I forget if I've seen that one or not. Let's see.
I
What
remember
is
that movie being in theaters, but I remember reading the book.
Yeah, the
so?
Book of Eli was Denzel Washington kind of got, spoiler alert, he's carrying a Bible across the to some Alcatraz. Alcatraz, they're having like a Smithsonian type thing there where they're collecting all the
Artifacts.
artifacts stuff from whatever, and they're trying to like regen the whole like the Library of Alexandria type of thing, you know. So they do this deal here, and but he's blind. Spoiler alert. And this guy is trying to find, what the hell's that guy's name? He was the wolf in Pulp Fiction. What was his name?
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Anyway, he
Stacey, is it or?
no, it's
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel. Yeah, that's it. He wants the Bible because he knows that if you have a good, strong religion and people buy into it, then you can control them, and that's what he wants it for. So, lo and behold, he gets it, and it's in Braille. And it's like, oh,
Oh shit!
dun dun dun. You can't read it.
Oh man! And I mean, who are you going to find to teach you Braille in a post-apocalyptic
Exactly.
world? I mean, you're just.
And the crazy thing is, Harvey Keitel's girlfriend at the time is blind and understands Braille, but he pisses her off bad enough. She's like, "Read it your fucking self," like that.
Good thing
Did she say all that with her middle finger?
Good thing she wasn't deaf, or just sounded like you really no. It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah, hopefully nobody's listening.
No, at this point we're like 40-something minutes in. I guarantee the last people are listening to this thing are us, and we may not even make it to this far. But yeah. Well, guys, we're getting to our time limit here. Casey, why don't you tell us about the Moving Iron podcast and what the hell you do with that and everything?
Right on. So if you're looking for a place to go talk about what's going on in the equipment business, and if you got a tractor for sale or something like that, and you are trying to figure out what it's worth or what the market's doing, myself and Aaron Fennell, talk about what's going on there in the auction space, as well as in what's going on in the retail space. I also have a couple guys that come on, Chip Nellinger and Sean Hackett, that talk about what's going on in the commodity marketplace, and then I have Rich Poston that comes on and talks about the overall world economy and what's happening there. So I have tried to just pretty much cover all the economic drivers behind agriculture that bring people in to buy farm equipment. So that's kind of the overarching idea of what the Moving Iron podcast is.
Kind of sounds like the Moving Sausage Fest podcast, because it's like all dudes. I mean,
yeah, but no, you can't say that, because I have Jacqueline Kromowski come on once a week, and she gives what's going on in ag from a business, from a news perspective. So she's the gal on the street out there shaking trees and seeing what falls out.
Damn, yo, how big is your payroll?
It's pretty big. I make tens of dollars a year doing this, so it's pretty lucrative.
I've spent tens of dollars getting my equipment together to do this thing, and I'm probably overpaid.
Greg Casey's not a sponsor, so we better leave him alone.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Dawson Tire. I still haven't gotten my free promotional ads from Dawson Tire, even though I've mentioned them on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But
just want to get a free spare.
Yeah, at least spare me one, then. You ought to make them say that's their tagline. Spare me. That way you can lose the sponsorship.
yeah, that would be one way to look at it.
And so you can find Moving Iron Podcast at Moving Iron LLC.
Yeah, Moving Iron LLC, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also go to movingironllc.com, and you can see all the fun stuff that is out there. I write a blog every so often about some things, and I've got the podcast on there. Plus, got the Moving Iron Summit coming up. So if you're a dealer and you're listening to this, check it out. And we'll see you in Nashville in September.
I was fixing to ask when the next convention was.
Yeah, September 15th through the 17th.
It's in Nashville, but it's going to be virtual.
No, it's going to be there.
Okay.
Be there or be square.
Be square.
You better be getting us some koozies at this thing, Casey.
Oh, yeah.
Shit,
I know.
I'm going to be there, yo.
I got like 6 or 7 koozies now, so it's I'm really stacking them up.
Finally, this podcasting thing's paying off.
Yeah. It only took 3 years, but man, we're finally getting into it. But Landon, where can we find you at?
Oh man,
where
can't you find Landon?
It's like where you can find me either at No Twit Landon 44 or Movie Gallery behind the velvet rope.
Water in the local paper.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, you can find the Dryline Farmer podcast all the same places that other guy on the podcast said he could find his. That's Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, and of course the Global Ag Network. We're all over the place. We're kind of like a bad habit. You can't drop us, but you just love to play with us. But guys, we're going to get out of here, and until next time, I hope everybody thaws out and stay safe, and don't drink the water if it ain't clear. And we'll thank y'all for coming on. Until next time, we'll ask you, what side of the line are you on?
North side.
You really don't think I can't cut that out?
I know you can't.
I'm just gonna.
I knew that maybe wrong.
The Dryline Farmer Podcast, a member of the Global Ag Network. There's podcasts, and then there's this, the Dryline Farmer Podcast.